Hey, free thinker, this human life is more amazing than we give credit for. The pain, the fun, the creativity, the mistakes, and the connected, shared experiences. We are here to expand. Let's do it together. Boom. We're recording. Mr. James
All right,
Cianci.
Ryan.
I want to
Thanks.
start off. I want to start off with some gratitude and just
Okay.
say thank you for being here, and also thank you for everything that you've been in my life has been really powerful and really helpful in so many ways. You've given me a lot of value. You've shown me Kundalini yoga, which we're going to talk about, and a lot more. Just your general friendship, it's been amazing. So thank you
Yeah.
for everything, and that's a good way, I think, to start off whatever this turns into here.
All right. That sounds good. And I'm just gonna also bounce some gratitude back your way. You're a great friend. I'm always happy to be there for you. It brings me joy to see your life improve. So it's a blessing to know you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Awesome. So, man, I've been pretty good with my Kundalini practice lately. Still going. Actually, I think I'm on day 10. I want to say in a row
Nice.
recently. So that's been amazing. So, what about you? You still practicing?
Yeah. I practice pretty much every day. I have a lot of practices. I have like a lot of practices in my life. So there's sometimes a little give and take. I'm right now I'm working on a 40-day challenge in the Life Force Academy. It's a heart-centered meditation on compassion, and so I've been doing that. I don't really keep track so much of how many days in a row it's been. I've missed a couple, but I would say it's probably about like 24 days into the challenge, maybe like something around that. And so I've done the meditation quite a few times. It's really powerful. If you haven't tried it, you might want to give it a shot.
Yeah, I definitely want to give that a shot. Have you noticed a difference with like opening up and compassion?
Yeah, I have seen quite a big shift actually within myself over the past couple weeks, just in my ability to stay heart-centered and compassionate, and it changes a lot in terms of my relationship dynamics, like with my daughter and my wife and even my friends. So it's been pretty significant actually.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. I've been going through some similar stuff as well, where like it feels like I'm living more from my heart space. It comes from being told over and over again, like, yo, you got to live from your heart space, man. I know you always say that to me, and Andy says that, and lately though, yeah, I've been able to do that a lot more lately. Do you have any like what's like helped you be able to do that besides the compassion thing with compassion meditations you've been doing? Is there anything in particular that like helps you?
Like some other, let me think about that for a second. So besides Kundalini yoga, essentially you're asking like what helps me keep in my heart center.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nature really brings me back to my center.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I've been slacklining a lot lately, and drawing, like rekindling my passion for sketching. So really it's really more or less just like a full fully expressing yourself, or at least I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, fully expressing myself brings me into my heart center, because that expression like comes from the heart. So that's been, like just really just taking making sure I take the time for myself to like really like keep my passions lit. And that's like, that really like lights the fire back into your heart. And it's been big for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's awesome. So have you had the chance? I know, Mandy's in like really, my wife Mandy is really into human design.
Mm-hmm.
So just from like being around her, I've been, gleaning whatever wisdom is there, and it's been really cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've been experimenting a little bit with some of the stuff that she tells me about, and like following the sacral and following the gut. And that helps me a lot in the sense that you're talking about as well, because I'm dropping down a layer deeper into like listening to my body, and
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to like, I feel like I have the tendency to overcomplicate things in my head, and to be really analytical and be very, I don't know, like mentally clouded and focused in my head.
Yeah.
Where when I like take a step back and think about how is my body kind of responding to the outside world, it kind of like drops the pressure and makes it feels like I can just, it's kind of like floating through the day versus like, I don't know, like climbing stairs or something,
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I can resonate with that pretty well. Like it's essentially like the when you're like an overthinker, which I tend to be as well, is it draws, like it just draws all your life force into your brain. Your activity, your brain activity is just sapping your entire reality. Like bringing it all into your mind. So yeah, getting down into your like gut and feeling into decisions instead of just thinking about them.
Mm-hmm.
That'll bring you down lower into like that balanced, center point.
Yeah. And then it's just like following that passion, like you were saying. Like, yeah, I feel like there's something there where it's like your body is like a layer deeper, and then a layer even deeper than that would be like your soul, like making decisions from your soul, or even there may not be many decisions to make. Maybe it's just
yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's been good, man.
Yeah, the soulfulness, like it all ties together. Like Tiff and I, she got into booty yoga lately. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, Mandy's been doing it too.
Oh, has she?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like hip hop yoga essentially.
Yeah.
But so I just jump in every now and then, and we've done quite a few classes together, and just that, like, because it's kind of like real, like you're getting real loose and you're like moving all your like parts of your body in different ways, like your shoulders, your like ribs can move separately, and then you can move your hips up and down and around. All these like these manipulations like in the body that we've been doing have just been like opening me up in general, like all of like the energy channels I feel like in those joints that usually all work together. Now they're separating, and that's creating more flow in the body.
Huh. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fun too.
Yeah, it's also very like feminine, so it's like bringing the masculine and feminine into balance as well.
The Shikta, right?
Shakti,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't ask me to like throw out terminology too much. I'm not a big terminology guy. I just like I'm an experience first kind of.
Yeah. Sanskrit's hard too, man. It's not like the easiest thing to remember all the words. But the reason I said that, I was actually looking at some Kundalini stuff today, just trying to like further the spiritual knowledge side of it.
Yeah.
It's been good, man. I love that stuff. It's just so wise, It's so it's just truth. There's no like BS or anything extra involved. It's just like
right. Yeah. sometimes there's a little BS involved, I guess, when you have like a conduit involved, somebody's pulling that information in from the cosmos, and not all vessels are entirely pure. So you always have to remember to use your own discernment too, get you,
Yeah.
like you said earlier, follow your gut on things. Just feel into it. Does it feel true or not? Especially when you're talking about esoteric knowledge.
Hmm. Yeah, and especially when you look at like the different religions that kind of have come along and changed things quite a bit, and
Yeah.
turned it into a profit hungry mission instead of a service centered.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really powerful. It's really powerful stuff. Some of these like learnings that you can gain, and they can definitely be corrupted just like anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, the one thing that they said that resonated with me was like, with yoga and no spiritual knowledge is pointless, but spiritual knowledge with no yoga is pointless.
Yeah.
And then like the yogis
Yeah.
say,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Yeah.
thought was really interesting. Because for a while now, I've been on the yoga with no real spiritual knowledge behind it, just kind of going through the
Yeah.
methods that I've learned, and now it's time.
Mhm.
I feel it's time to step
Yeah.
up.
That's good. You're probably right on track. I mean, you're obviously right on track for yourself, but you haven't been doing it a crazy long amount of time. You had to get that experience first before you knew it was worth really diving deeper.
Yeah,
But you'll find that the experience, because the experience comes, that you have to have that experience first. Otherwise, it's like basically meaningless. You haven't built context for any of the teachings yet.
right.
Um, but you'll find that like as you progress, even as you get the teachings, it's still very much that practice that matters most.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Because it's working the mind, the body, and the soul essentially. After you start bringing in that other stuff, then the soul comes into the practice.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
It's so good, man. It's like it's just so good.
I enjoy it.
The other thing too that they were saying that I thought was really interesting that I wanted to share with you and see what you had to say was like I was taking copious notes, man. I was taking notes and watching this thing about Kundalini. It was
Yeah.
really really well done
Hmm.
uh, thing. It was a video, but they were saying that what was it? Okay, so people are kind of being experience seekers with it,
Yeah.
in the sense that they just want the experience. They want the
Mhm.
LSD trip. They want the quick fix, rather than using
Yeah.
it to like gain spiritual wisdom.
Mm.
And so that can be like, I guess, detrimental to the journey uh, if you're just focused on experience only,
Yeah. That's
which
a
is
good
something.
point.
Yeah, it's something I never really thought about before, because I love the experience. It's kind of what keeps me coming back. But if
Hmm.
there's no like wisdom or like greater purpose for that, then it's just kind of like another like vice or another I don't know,
Yeah.
another thing.
Makes sense. Mm. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, let me think about it made me think of a couple different things. It made me think of like my own self just being like an experience seeker. You know, uh, I am a surfer. So that's kind of like the like half-ass surfer. I've been surfing my whole life, but I'm not trying to claim any kind of like I have no credentials at all. Like not Kundalini, not surfing, anything like that. I'm just James, woodworker, business owner guy, and experience seeker. So here I am having an experience with my brother Ryan.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah, you don't have to be anybody to get on this show, man. This show is about sharing the human life experience, and just it is what it is. We should do this.
yeah,
We could do this more often too if we like it. If we're having fun
yeah,
all the time. Doesn't matter to
definitely.
me.
Yeah, I'm down. It's good stuff. So yeah, anyway, experience seeking. See, the thing is, it's like, um, this is like, I feel like this is like, I'm going to bring in a little bit of like maybe Albert's perspective on something like this, more like a shamanic way of viewing it. I guess this is yogic too, though. This is like, what you'll find is a lot of these things, they're all very similar. Um, so basically, like the wisdom came from the practice, not the other way around. So you can still be like, you could still just practice Kundalini, and it's really like, the system is great, but it's not so much the system um, that's the most important thing. It is the actual seeking of experience. However, that experience that you're seeking has to be like, it's only going to take you where it is. So if you're looking for like something very physical and quick, then you're going to get that. But if you're looking for something like deep and spiritual, and you're reaching to connect to something deeper in the cosmos, then that's where it will take you.
Mm-hmm.
And so going back to like the teachings and just actually like learning about the practice, that actually gives you like, it plants like seeds on things that you can reach for in your seeking, essentially.
Yeah.
So everybody has a naturally different path, like I and like I could be naive and just, like, because I don't spend a lot of time like reading wisdom. I'll listen, like when Jai Dave speaks in his live classes and stuff, he drops a lot of wisdom, and I listen. But it's definitely like, I'm definitely more experience oriented. But it's like, it brings me wisdom. So instead of getting it and then finding it, refinding it, I'm just getting it straight from the source.
Yeah. I think the problem comes in if someone's just seeking that experience and then just that's it. Like that's the whole goal.
Yeah.
Like if you take
Right.
that experience and then learn from it, that's when it becomes
Mm-hmm.
transcendent and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, learning from it. That's numero uno.
yeah. So what else is new, James?
um, let's see.
How you dealing with
Well,
this?
like, yeah, I was just about to go there. Are
Yeah.
you talking about COVID or whatever? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's been affording me a lot of free time that I usually don't have. I don't know how much, how sustainable that is. Like, we definitely need to get back to work pretty soon. And I know, I'm sure so many more people really need to be working. I don't know how some people are surviving. We're fortunate enough to have a little bit of a cushion, but I don't think everybody does. So I'm definitely concerned. It's really interesting. It brings up a lot of, it brings a lot up for me personally. Um, on one hand, you have like, I have this kind of like attitude that I want to live every day like it's my last, and which I'm not always, which I'm not always doing at my best capacity. But that's like the goal, is to get to a life, like a constant state of living where I'm just in the moment, and like, I'm full of love and grace and gratitude, and all of the things, great bliss, joy, and just living. So essentially, like, if that's my attitude, then if I'm missing out on opportunities that are important, that's, I'm not really too keen about that. Like, we can be responsible and respectful of other people's space and decisions and everything, but we also have to have a little bit of authority over our own lives, on what kind of opportunities we are willing to take, or in the face of some sort of risk. So it's got me a little bit, I'm kind of like sitting with a lot of emotions about it. Um, but some people are dying from it. So there's many different levels to the reality. Like who knows? I could get it. Anybody could get it. No, nobody really knows like who's going to get it. But only a small portion of us are going to get it, or be really sick from it or die from it. So yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of levels to it. I don't really want to go too much into like some of the, like I get fired up. I mean, unless you want me to get fired up.
I mean, you can. I mean, there's no rules here.
Yeah.
But did you see what Elon Musk said or so
No.
they had like this press release and it was like his earnings for the quarter, and he went on this long rant. He was like, they're stealing away our freedom, they gotta let us get back out there, like this is insane. Like he just went on this huge rant, and it was pretty cool to see someone in a position of power like actually point out why it's wrong.
Yeah. Maybe I'll check that out. I mean, now I know about it, so I probably don't have to. I just secondhand. Maybe it'll come my way. That's really cool to see. I don't know. I mean, I would say that Elon Musk is right. There's an infringement on freedom happening that I'm uncomfortable with. And I'm very compassionate. I care about other people. I care about all people. I care about good people. I care about bad people. I care about sick people. I care about healthy people, rich people, poor people. It doesn't matter. Like people are people. And I care about them all. But I also care about myself. And I also care about my daughter and her future. And so like my order is kids first, like kids first, everybody else after them. In terms of like, what do we really need to be focused on? So I think that this is very problematic for me, in that we're jeopardizing the children's future. We're giving away the children's freedom. Every time our freedoms get inched away from us, they get even further away from our children. And so that's the part that really bugs me. I don't really. My parents, I've talked to my parents. Like they're not selfish enough to think that their health is more important than children's futures. And I think most people that are that age would agree. At least good, compassionate people. And so what we're kind of like we're kind of taking the entire system and we're flipping it. We're putting the elderly first, and like we have to think about the elderly. I want my parents to be healthy and I want them to be taken care of and everything. But at the same time, like we have to also respect their choices too. Like a lot of the elderly people aren't even quarantining themselves. Like a lot of people are quarantining themselves to protect the elderly, but the elderly are like, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to go to the store, So it's more or less just about personal freedom and personal choice boundaries. There's a way to for this to work out, like socially on its own. It doesn't need to be mandated, and it doesn't even make sense the way that they're shutting things down anyway. You've got Home Depot open and Lowe's and all of these major stores. So you're bringing all of the people into these concentrated centers instead of shutting down the big concentrated centers and letting the people go out into those, like the smaller businesses and spread out the groupings, instead of bringing everybody into tight groupings to go back out into society. What's the point of that? It doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm not claiming to be an expert. Logically, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I just think we're going about it all wrong. Just tell people to be, here's the way you can be considerate to your neighbors, and just, and communicate clearly with each other. If you're out in public and you don't want someone near you, just say like, can you please, maintain a safe distance from me, please? And that's it.
Yeah.
Set up a special time for people that like don't want to go out in public with other people. Only like you can only go to CVS from 11 to 12. If you every other, if that's when masks are required. Every other time, people can just kind of do their own thing.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's true. They could just like limit for the people that really are worried and really care, limit the time that they have rather than forcing it on everybody.
Yeah.
That is an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we have to make there has to be compromise, of course.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that feel differently about things. So instead of trying to make everything work for everybody or everything catered to the most fearful people, then we should just make a compromise and have fearful people times to do things and not fearful people time. You know what I mean? Like, because this life has to go on. Like how the fuck are we gonna, like, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
like what the fuck are we doing? I don't even understand. Like, I've like been, barely working for I don't even know how long it's been. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, where we are in Pennsylvania, our governor, he doesn't want us out there at all. He wants us. We have to wear masks to go grocery shopping. You can't go into a grocery store without one. And all the businesses.
Man, you're gonna get
closed.
looked at, money.
Right now, it's May 6th. Then all the businesses are still being forced to be closed. Right.
Yeah, and when did we shut down? March 17th or something like that.
Yeah, that was the day. Yeah, March 17th.
So we're almost 2 months in, and oh fuck it, man, this is the weirdest time to be alive.
Yeah,
in the last 34 years that I've been alive, at least.
Yeah, I think everybody's saying that though too. Even like baby boomers are like, "This is insane." Nobody could have seen this coming. Well, yeah, nobody could have seen this coming.
It doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. When are you gonna? When's it end? You know what I mean? Like when do we like how often do we shut down society? What are the things we shut society down for?
Yeah, and I know. And now they're talking about another wave. And then what? Shut down again immediately? Like,
yeah,
in a couple months, people are gonna go crazy. It may be. I would agree with someone that would say it could be more detrimental to our health to be social distancing all the time than it is to be, near this virus, which could sound crazy. Some people probably disagree, but it's terribly, it's linked to so many problems. No serotonin, it leads to depression, suicide, like it leads to serious problems that way too. So there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you're right about that. It didn't add up to me.
Zoom calls for everyone.
Yeah, like we could just. I mean, this is great doing Zoom calls, but it could just be. I guess we wouldn't be doing the Zoom call if we could just hang out.
Yeah.
I mean, we can or at least I would be willing to. Like, I'll just go out on the record saying like, I'm associating with people who are willing to associate. I respect people's boundaries. If people don't want to be around other people, then I'm not going to be around them. But if people are okay with it, like if you came over, we went for a hike, and you wanted, I'm giving hugs to people, and if they want I'll just be like, hey, do you want a hug or not? People I would normally just hug, I go, hey, do you want a hug? If not, okay. No
I know. I ran into you once during this whole thing. We were hiking, and you were like, "You want a hug?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah, we hugged.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I don't know. I kind of have a lot of faith in the human body as well. I think we're designed to handle most things. I know this one is extraordinary and it's really weird, but I bet on me. I bet on my body.
Yeah.
I think even if I did get sick, I think I would come out of it. But
yeah, I mean, probably according to the statistics. Here's where it gets weird though. A lot of people are going to respond to that, and they're going to say, like, well, you're healthy, like you're getting other people sick who are compromised, you know. But that is not always the case. You know what I mean? Like, that's always the case. No matter what, if you have something that's communicable, like a virus or like some sort of, you know, whatever, you're always like, just like, you can't be like, you're not bad just because you got sick and you're healthy and you lived. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not, we can't live like that. That's like turning the world around.
Yeah.
We'll reverse, like, evolve, you know, like, like, it doesn't even make sense, you know. If we survive, if we are healthy, we should get the virus and survive, so we can, like, our species can be stronger against future threats. Like, that's just seems like the way it would work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how we've been taught it works. So,
Yeah.
you know, like, I don't know.
So here's a transition. What have you been doing anything differently? You know, being at home more and stuff, and you know, have you like tried new practices? I mean, you're doing the compassion heart thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that sounds amazing. But
Yeah.
has there been anything else that's been really worthwhile? That's been like amazing. You would say like, yo, some other people should do this while they're stuck.
Yeah, let me think about that.
Personally, I'm gonna challenge myself and quit coffee. For a lot of reasons, but
Cool.
one of them being, you know, it's like when you drink coffee, you're like giving your energy and motivation up to something outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I can't be okay with it anymore. Like I'm at this point where I just like I need to stop drinking coffee because I mean, you've seen me. We've gone camping. We're camping in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I figured out a way, like, I
Yeah.
gotta bring coffee because I won't be like myself at all if I don't have it. So that's not okay with me anymore. Done with that game.
That's good for you. Like, that's what usually got me to the point of quitting coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right now, I haven't had coffee since like maybe like before the new year sometime. So it's been a while, but, and I've been an avid coffee drinker since I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
We used to, when I was a kid, like when I was like in like probably junior, senior year, we used to go to this coffee, well, it was like just a restaurant. But they had these big booths, and we would just like, me and all my friends would go there, and we would sit in the booths, and we would just drink coffee for like 7 hours straight, smoke cigarettes the whole time, and just like talk about philosophy and like all types of things. So that was like, so that's how long I've been drinking coffee.
That sounds like a good time.
It was great. We used to be like, the waitresses, they knew us all. They called us the Coffee Boys.
Dead Poet Society.
Sort of something like that.
That's what it reminded me of when you said
it was very similar to that. It was just like a bunch of, you know, like, we'd smoke weed and talk about, you know, everything, the universe,
stuff of life.
Yeah, the big questions we would try to find answers to.
Yeah,
we're still doing it.
That's what we're doing here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I think I derailed this a little bit. What were we?
So we were just talking about, you know, challenging ourselves or doing things a little bit differently since we are stuck inside, and it kind of takes stuff out of you. You know, it might cause you to look at things a little differently after a while. At least I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, we've been doing like the booty yoga. I've been slacklining a lot. I've been drawing a lot.
Oh, slacklining, that's so fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm getting like a pretty good knack for it right now. Just
can you flip yet?
Yeah. Just being able to stand and walk on it for like, you know, like I can almost stand and walk on it just for like as long as I want without falling off. Like the balance is getting there. It's really like all the things I'm doing are kind of working together. So I'm doing slacklining, I'm drawing, and that, like, and like the booty yoga, like that kind of stuff that we've been doing. They're all really like loosening up my hips, and well, drawing's not loosening up my hips, but it's all working with like sexual energy. You know, it's all working with Kundalini.
Mm-hmm.
So my Kundalini practice, you know, that all combining together. has really, like that's kind of where I've been headed, lately is more down the, like the sexual alchemy route of things. Um, harnessing that natural energy and using it to explore, consciously with my wife.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really cool.
So,
Yeah, the life force energy.
hmm yeah. So and it's just like stuff that's bringing me into balance,
Mm,
helping me be a more clear channel for like who I am, like my true expression.
mm, that's awesome.
Yeah. So being here in quarantine, having a lot more free time has really helped that, actually, allowed for that to happen.
Yeah, same here. I would say the same is true for me. It's yeah, it causes you to just slow down a little, look at everything. Like I was talking the other day, I was thinking like it's so easy to want to break, like we're in this society where we try to break things down all the time into
Mm-hmm.
smaller parts to try to understand it.
Yeah.
Even our whole life, like, we separate spirituality, family, uh,
Mm.
business, whatever.
Yeah.
But in reality, all those things together are what make up life, right? It's not they don't need to be broken down like that. That's just like
Yeah.
how society has trained us to think about everything.
Yeah. Compartmentalizing.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was up in Honesdale, which is like a nearby town. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Hmm.
It's like north of where you are. Um, and I was hanging out with my friend, and we were kind of talking about like a variety of things. And that was one of that was one of the things we were talking about. We tend to see things that way, that compartmentalized way, and it's definitely a disservice to us. It doesn't, it serves us it can. I'm sure it's something that can serve us, but it's not serving us in the way that it's generally being practiced. Even in like medicine. It's, or even the COVID response, it's all very compartmentalized. It's all focusing on a too narrow of a perspective. Um, they're so zoomed in on COVID that the whole rest of the world's on pause. I I was supposed to go on, because they're not like looking at it as a whole system. I mean, there are people who are looking at it as a whole system, but they're like the response doesn't seem to take it into consideration. Um, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I was supposed to go on a service project this summer. It's with a local church group, and I did it a couple of times when I was in high school, and I was supposed to go back this year with my dad because I brought him down with me. I think the first year I went, I actually got him to come, and I was going back this year, and we go down to Appalachia, down into like West Virginia, that area, and just help rebuild people's homes. Some people were, like renovating certain aspects of the house. It's always a different project. They're not building new homes like Habitat for Humanity. We're actually like just going in and fixing homes. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, so I was excited about that. And when I went there when I was younger, the one time I remember, we were working in a trail. It was a trailer, like a big double wide trailer. Um, and it was just dilapidated. It was just in really, really bad shape. And there was like a whole family living there. They had a bunch of like little kids, and they were all sleeping in like one bed, and there was no bathroom. Like there was a toilet, but it was just like in the middle of the room. And so when we were there, we were putting a new roof on their house, and we were building a bathroom. Uh, we were building walls essentially to like make the bathroom a bathroom.
Hmm.
And like the day that I put up the two walls, like my dad was out working on the roof with the team, and I was like in the inside working with maybe a couple other people. And the day we got the walls up and the door on and finally like closed in, the little girl who lived there, she like ran in and like jumped on the toilet, and she was like so happy. It was like the greatest thing ever for her. She was like, "This is gonna be my room." And it's like so sweet, because the kid, like, the kid is so nice. Like, the kids are so like young and innocent, and and like to see the joy on their face like that, and and like at the same time though, you're hit with a wave of sadness, just for like taking for granted all the things that you have. And some people don't, like they don't, like she's so grateful for that those two walls. It made her like light up, like and you could feel it. It was just a great moment. And so we were going to go down there this year, and we were going to provide that serve, us and many other teams. Lots of people were about to, lots of little kids or little girls or even the parents. They're not like, not everybody who's poor is like, somebody who you should like, people seem to like have less compassion for people who are in worse financial situations a lot of times these days. And it's just not the way. It's just not the way. We need to have compassion for everybody. But anyway, so so many families were about to be affected in such a great and positive way by this the service project that we were going to go on, but now it's canceled because of the COVID. And so it's just like these are the things that like people aren't really considering, and like I know, like if we lived in a different just like imagine us in a different reality. Like there's so many, like if I had a sickness that was like, if I was like an elderly person and I had a sickness, and or let's just say like my mom got sick, I would want to be able to see my mom and go and comfort her at like the time of death. Like I don't want her to be like quarantined and by herself, I don't know. Like there's something like love is important too. It's like love is not, it's not just like, it's not just life that's important. Love is important too. And, people are, people like love is being taken away from people by all this too, not just life. And so like, we have to start weighing things like that into our considerations, I think.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a really strong point. Love is being taken away a little bit. Or hard off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, physical touch is important for people.
Yeah.
Even just presence, being within the enough physical distance to be like within the magnetic field of that person, like like a hug. Some people were dying anyway, like before COVID hit. Like if you believe in fate, which like we could talk about fate if you want, but like let's just say you believe in fate. Like some people who died during this pandemic were just already gonna die. They died of other, or they died of like in an accident or something like that. Like a young person say just dies in an accident. The last few weeks or months of their life, they've been deprived of so much. They've been deprived of so much they would have had in their final days or weeks, and that's sad too. I feel for those people.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. These are things people are not thinking about.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything about this at all. But
yeah,
if and then there's the fact that I kept seeing in the beginning like stories about how they're just adding anybody that dies as a COVID death.
Yeah.
And that
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not good either. That's like, no matter what, it's kind of like disrespecting the entire process of life and death. Like if you're just gonna say that they died, so it's completely like,
yeah,
it's like slamming the door in someone's face on their way out.
Yeah.
It's just rude. Like,
yeah,
where's the honor in your death if they're just gonna you're like check like another tally mark on the
yeah. It's like they want they want to put that tick mark on there for some reason.
Yeah, strange.
Like people that were terminally ill and only had days or weeks to live, then they got COVID and died, are also being listed as COVID death. Like they were fated to die. And statistically, I guess it's maybe it's relevant somehow, but it doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't want to like, because like my mind goes a little bit into like, I have a bad feeling about some of the stuff. I feel like there's, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a little bit, it doesn't quite all add up to me. But I don't have any, for sure knowledge or truth to drop about it. So I don't really want to go down that road too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a feeling, like you were talking about before. I could feel it in my stomach. Like it's just there's something off about the whole thing. It seems like political, and there seems to be an agenda behind it of some sort. And it all makes me a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing. None of us know. It's complete uncertainty. Complete. We're all kind of in the dark for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it just increases the whole thing. Like it just makes it more scary and more like apocalyptic, kind of like I started planning in terms of like, what are we going to do if this is it? Like, we had to start making like an emergency plan as a family. Like, how are we going to get out of the house quickly if we have to? These are things that before now, like, you didn't really have to have on your radar at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's like, you're fend for, like, the fend for yourself type of like mentality starting to like set in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's a hard thing to be prepared for. That's what like preppers are doing. I mean, the only way to do it is to be like just self-sustainable in that, you gotta get some land and farm it. You gotta know how to
Animals.
some what?
Some animals.
Some animals, yeah. Get some chickens, get eggs.
Yeah. Or even like, I forget who was saying it. I saw the other day someone was saying how like certain animals you can like watch what they eat, and if they eat it, then it's safe to eat.
Oh, okay.
Maybe like horses or
For like wild animals.
yeah, yeah. For like if you were like on an island somewhere and you came across like
Okay.
something like goats or cows or something,
Yeah,
you could watch what they eat.
that would be a good source of information. So
Yeah.
probably I'd probably eat a goat. uh,
Let him show you what plants are safe first, and then
yeah. I'll wait till he dies. And I'll eat him. If I have enough goats, one will die every now and then.
Yeah, you gotta outlive the goats though.
Yeah, I mean that's okay if you don't too. We're all gonna die.
Yeah, I thought we might talk about that a little bit in this, just the certainty of death and dealing with that. I feel
Yeah.
like
That ties into fate.
yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about fate and death.
All right.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, go for it.
You got any thoughts? You got any thoughts to start us off with?
I think you probably have the better thoughts on this one, but fate. Okay. I don't really. I can't say I've thought about it too long and hard.
All right, let's start with. Do you believe in fate?
So I guess we would have to like define fate, right? So like.
Yeah.
So like, there's already a pre-written plan for you. Is that with fate?
I think that would be. I think.
That's destiny.
I don't know. All right. Let's start. Like, let's do it this way. Like, I think we all have a fate, and that is to die. That's it. The end. That's the one thing that's guaranteed. It is our fate.
And living, you gotta live to die, right?
Yes. Well, there's two guarantees in life. One is being born, and the other is dying. Because if you're not born, then you're not alive, and if you are born, then you're gonna die.
Yeah. There's some what's it called? Some people will be like, no, your baby's alive after like 2 weeks.
Oh,
Whatever.
well, yeah, you could say like after conception. So there's like two, or so there's two, then let's say there's only two guarantees. One is conception
Oh yeah.
and one is death. Would that be a bit better?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess it would be like,
It would be too PC anyway.
what?
So we don't have to be that PC anyway.
Yeah. There's,
We're
there's, there, there's,
not political, so we don't
there's
have to
two,
be politically correct.
there's two guarantees that your mom and your dad had sex with each other. Actually, no, that's not even guaranteed anymore. Like you could be like put together in a petri dish too.
Yeah. Test tube.
So, so yeah, let's just say germination is guaranteed and death is guaranteed.
Okay.
Because once you germinate, I mean, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. Let's not get too deep, not get too much into the details. But I think yeah, like there's the beginning and the end,
Mhm.
and the beginning is always in the womb for a human. Well, shit, damn it. Let's just eliminate petri dishes from the potential. It's fucking up the analogy. um, yeah, you're gonna come out of a womb, and you're going to go back into the earth, unless you're an astronaut. And then I just like to throw in weird scenarios to fuck up my own theories like constantly. I don't know why, but yeah, yeah. So I think that fate is actually just an ever-changing thing. Um, like the road to your fate is always changing, and so how close or far away your fate is always changing, you know.
Hmm.
But the fate is always the same, like to die.
Die.
Yeah.
What? How does someone, or how have you learned to like? Did you ever struggle with that at all? Is that something you accepted quickly early on?
No, I mean, I started thinking about this like probably when I was like 16, around then. Like just about life or life after death, or what happens after death. And so I mean, I was never really like too. I still deal with like on certain level like a fear of death in the sense like of a provider for family. I always have a little bit of a that kind of like instinctual drive, which I work on. I'm trying to like switch up some of those patterns. At least bring some of those like natural instinctual patterns into a more aligned state. But I when I was younger, I thought that essentially like the one thing that did worry me a little bit was like I used to believe that when you died, you were just lights out. There's nothing like, ever again. Like the consciousness is just shut off like a light, and you just no longer exist. For some reason that bothered me when I was younger. Now it doesn't so much. I don't claim to know what happens after death. I've heard a lot of people make claims about it, and my wife has a pretty clear, idea of what it is. And I have like, I have a semblance of an idea, but there's no guarantee, because I don't ever remember being dead before. So, so like that's why experience is so valuable to me. Is like it's the only thing that you can really know for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, yeah, that was like, if I thought about death, that would be like the one thing that one time in my life where I was a little bit fearful of death.
So now, do you believe that we just go, but it's just lights out, or do you believe there's something else, or do you not? Maybe you just don't care, or you're okay with it either way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much at this point, like I'm pretty much okay with it either way. But I think based off of some of my consciousness explorations, like in terms of Kundalini yoga or plant medicines, like I have definitely had some experiences, really, really, really tangible experiences that are much, I would say, much more universal than physical tangible reality. and things that couldn't necessarily be strictly explained by the psyche, you know, like like that entire way of viewing things. Like there's more to, there's a blending of different things that kind of leads me to believe that um, that physical life is just one aspect of a greater picture, something that's continuous, and that we are part of continuously.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like that makes sense to me too.
Yeah.
Especially, even if you wanted to bring like science into it, that just the idea that matter is never created nor destroyed, or energy is never created or destroyed, only transferred. So if your body is, or if your soul is, whatever is energy, and you die, where it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It has to be transferred somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's if you're being analytical and scientific, but also
Yeah.
you know yeah. I don't know the
Yeah.
word for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like philosophical or esoteric or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think that, I had this like cool, it was, I think it was Jai Dave had like mentioned it in a class. He was talking about how we're all part of the earth. Because essentially like all of the molecules that we're made up of, they came from the, the beginning of time. The matter came together to form the earth. It came from stars, and it came to form the earth. And then like what life pretty much just it rose up out of that container. That's what happens. And so like we are essentially like we have our atoms of our body have essentially risen up out of the earth. The sun shone down on the earth. It turned into plant matter. And, animals ate other, plants. Animals ate each other. We ate the animals. Our parents got the material for our bodies like through that process of eating the rays of the sun through plant matter.
Hmm.
So it's all interconnected. None of it's separate. And so like we rise up out of the earth, and we come out through a womb, but we rise up out of the earth, we go down an esophagus, and then we get put together in a womb, and then we come out into the world, and then we live our lives on the earth and dependent on it, and dependent on the sun, and then we die, and then we I mean, if unless you're preserved in embalming fluid, your matter goes back down into the earth. You know, it gets broken down into smaller and smaller pieces until the earth just finally absorbs it again. You get eaten and shit out by bugs, and you become a part of the earth again. And then eventually those nutrients where your body grow back into a plant, and then that plant gets eaten by a mother, and then that mother, grows her child with the build, I guess they're fueling the process with it.
Hmm. And
So
that's the body, but then what happens to the other part?
the
Right?
consciousness.
Yeah, the consciousness, the soul, whatever.
Yeah, it goes right back in with everything else. It goes right back into the universe.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's the part that we really don't know
Hmm.
about. Like the
Yeah,
body
exactly.
part of it kind of makes sense. You can look at it and be like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
and the body part is only 0.00001% of it.
Mm.
Because that's how the molecules that make up our body are mostly empty space. So what we are is mostly empty space, and then a small fraction of us goes back into the earth or whatever. Right.
Damn. Yeah, that's a good point. That's
Mm.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's still a mystery. It's always a mystery. Anybody that claims it to know is only. I mean, they might be right. Like, I'm not trying to say there's not people that aren't right, but there's so many ways of viewing it. How could just one person be right?
Hmm. Yeah, and maybe
Everybody
it's
has
a
a different idea.
maybe it's a beautiful part of the world that we're not going to know.
Yeah.
That mystery. Can't know everything. The
Yeah.
ignorance that is there no matter what.
Yeah. And like I've had plenty of experiences, like with, we do lots of like ceremonial and meditative work in groups and stuff. So I've had like experiences of like, um, of feeling like I've known this person or done this with this person, like something like really deep and esoteric will come so naturally with another person that I'll be like, oh, we've done this before, like this, but we haven't, like like you get these senses that you've known somebody in a past life or something like that. Like those types of experiences too, lead me to believe a little bit that there is more of a sinking back into the universe and then expressing back out into human form, and sinking back into the universe and expressing back out in human form, in almost like in a localized way too.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. And it's like the do you think here's something cool. Do you think that we're going through some kind of I don't know, maybe you've seen something about this, but I keep seeing that we're going through some kind of awakening
Mm.
period where people are starting to realize that everything is more about the collective, and everything is more about listening to your body over your over analytical mind and everything. And
Hmm.
yeah, I just keep seeing more and more people talking about it at all, which is a sign to me that okay, people are like opening up. People are looking at these types of things that we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I do. I would say, I mean, like from my own personal experience, I have felt I've experienced my own um, consciousness, my own consciousness evolve, over the past few years into like an ever increasing, at an ever increasing pace, it seems like. And I mean, there's expansion, contraction. That's part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it does feel like that's the case. Like it's like some of the feeling that comes along with that is the feeling that the rest of the world is going through something similar, because I see a lot of people going through something similar. Even from very different levels of, everybody's coming from their own perspective and angle. But I see it. I just see people's, um, like kind of, people seem to be kind of like lighting up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And seeking these types of experiences and wisdom, instead of just kind of going about their
Yeah.
going about their life and just being like, I don't know,
Yeah.
just phoning it in, kind of just like, I'm just gonna live this one out.
Yeah.
Sit,
They put no emphasis on it.
yeah, they sit on the bench of life until they make it to the grave. So
Yeah. It seems, it sure seems that way, in a lot of cases. I try not to make too many assumptions about like how other people feel about their own quality of life. But there are things that I know for sure, like I know, like if you're drinking beer all the time and watching football as your primary, like, hobby, then you are definitely missing out on some great opportunities in life. And also just kind of like, just you definitely just like kind of like, what's the word, like numbing yourself a little bit. You're kind of, you're not, you're numbing yourself with the alcohol, and you're just kind of like wasting your time with the football.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then of course, everyone has their vices too. It might be in the form of football for some people and beer. Other people, have porn addiction. Some people have
Yeah.
drug addictions.
Yeah.
It comes in all forms and shapes, but it's all kind of
Yeah.
a distraction, kind of, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Um, I mean, it is a good point, actually, just because if you think about, um, you know, I mean to say it's a good point twice. Like one time I didn't mean it, and the other time I did. I just felt like it leads me to another thought. Um, uh, yeah. So even if, like, say, like going down the spiritual path doesn't really, like, say you are believing some stuff that's like not true. Um, you think a certain thing happens after death, and that makes your life better. Makes you feel better about life, but you die and you weren't right. Well, is that such a bad thing? Like, the spiritual process, it leads you to really, really interesting experiences and questions and beliefs,
Hmm.
but it also frees you of a lot of the stuff that was holding you back in the first place. Like you said, porn addiction or drinking, watching football, or doing drugs, at least, well, abusing drugs, we should say, because I happen to believe that that there are plenty of substances in the world that are that actually beneficial to people, in with proper use and actual respect for the substance. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's definitely, um, uh, even if it, see, we're so focused on like what's true and what's right and what's definitely known, that we don't realize that sometimes just believing in something is really actually very powerful and life changing in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, that reminds me of something that I was looking at. It was chakra, like they were talking about chakras
Hmm.
and how they were discussing whether or not they're like they actually exist inside the body, and how, well, the Western culture kind of messed it up a little bit. Like they make it more than it was by making it rainbow and showing all these like translucent images of people like
Yeah.
meditating pristinely with these really colorful chakras, and apparently like it wasn't meant to be that, and it was kind of like, the point was, what I'm getting at is that what you were saying, like, does it matter if it's real or not if it helps people? Right?
Yeah.
If it helps, if people use those as focal points for meditation, the chakras, and it helps them with visualizing different parts of their body and visualizing beautiful things that can help their body, then it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter if it's like real, or if it's just a tool that people use for visualization.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And both, like, the more you go down the path, like the more you can actually sort of understand. You can really like feel and understand a little bit more about the more like energetic side of things. You can see it as both a pragmatic tool, which means that it's just useful. But you can also understand that, like, that there's a little more to some of it than science or medicine is currently capable of actually measuring,
yeah,
or because
exactly.
it's too much. It's so many influences. Like, so if like your heart chakra is like a thing, that's really just like there's a magnetic energy that's being emitted from that area of your body, and that's just like the heart is beating within your chest, and like there's, so energetically this is a very significant portion of your body. And it's like almost like if all of the different factors were going, that are going into that physically on a physics level, you could sort of put them together like a language, and then interpret it. That's what they're saying with like a chakra.
Hmm.
It's just like there's a there is a dense and powerful like action taking place within that portion of your body, in terms of like space and time too, like in relation to other things in the world. So it's definitely like there is, it's not like the chakra, like if you look at, like, they're going to be able to look at it through a certain microscope and see that it's green or whatever. It's just like, no, just think about it. Like your heart beats within your chest, like, and your lungs are there, and like life is happening in this, you know what I mean? Like life is emanating and being like kept alive from this portion of your body. Like that's a chakra. Simple as that. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
the third eye is your pituitary gland, the crown is your pineal gland, and these are just really significant portions of the body. Like there's deep wisdom and actual useful knowledge in some of that stuff that seems like woo woo, but it's like really like, no, it's just the way that they decided to put it down on paper. It
Yeah,
made sense to them at the time.
yeah, it was and it was like thousands of years ago. They
Yeah.
already had like some kind of grasp on the idea of these things, and they were starting to like chart the human body however they could, you know. That's so
Yeah.
cool, so freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And
And
now,
science,
you know, like you
science,
said, sorry, like you
no, go
said,
ahead.
the different glands, you know, like they're like endocrine organs that create like they create different chemicals in our body that, you know, that make
Hmm.
us feel certain ways. So
Yeah.
it's like if they're associated with that, then they were so accurate. Like, how did they thousands of years ago know about this tiny little thing in our head? That's crazy. Conundrum.
They probably saw it in meditation. You know, like we had like the not like we're not just these dumb lumps of molecules, you know, like there's like deeper knowledge within just being, you know, that you're capable of accessing. And that's like, I think that's how they did it. You know, they kept going deeper and deeper within themselves. And they were getting all of this intuitive, you know, knowledge. They were like, you know, their forehead would, you know, start to pulse, or their awareness would be brought there, or they realized by looking into their third eye that it actually made them feel differently. And like, so like that's how they started, you know, like unearthing these like just fundamental truths about how the human physiology works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Do you want to, because we mentioned the word Kundalini probably like a good amount of times here, do you have like a basic definition that you tend to tell people about Kundalini? Like, what is Kundalini?
Like, what is Kundalini yoga, or what is Kundalini?
Oh, Kundalini yoga, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not like, I'll just preface this by saying like I'm not an instructor or teacher of Kundalini yoga. I sometimes do Kundalini yoga meditations at our local business. The Salted Pixie, of course, you know, but for anybody listening
A
who
great
doesn't
place.
know, yeah,
Place is
Salted Pixie.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a sanctuary that we built in Archibald, Pennsylvania, and um, so yeah, Kundalini yoga is it's basically like a system of uh, yoga, a particular system of yoga brought over in like the 60s or 70s, I think, or maybe it might have been earlier than that. It might have been like the 50s. I don't know. And it's using breath work and mantra and body movement. So you'll do different things, like you'll be sitting like in a cushion on the floor and chair. You'll have your hands on your shoulders, and you'll be breathing rhythmically to certain motions, or just breathing rhythmically with like certain like mudras in your you know, in your hands, you know, resting on your knees or whatever. There's it's basically a combination of the mudras, the breathing, the exercises, and then also mantra, like singing different almost, they're basically prayers essentially. So it's like this combination of things that is a really effective tool at just making your life better. At least for me, I can attest to it. Make your mind calmer. Your body will function better. It's a powerful practice. I've
Yeah.
been doing it for about 2.5 years, I would say. And
Mhm.
it's great for the conscious exploration. You know, it's a powerful meditation tool for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've personally, you know, James showed me Kundalini, and you know, testament to James, he was super patient, and he didn't like force it on me or like try to get me to do it so much that I was annoyed by it.
Yeah.
He was being a real leader and showing that, you know, he does it, and just being around him enough. And then I remember my wife went with you and everybody to Salem,
Yeah.
and then she came back and had the login for like a Kundalini course that you had, and I
Mm.
was like, I got to try this. But it's been, I think, when was that? That was in like November, I think.
Yeah.
So it's been like
Mid-November.
6 months, five or 6 months,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've been trying to do it, you know, as regularly as possible, like any practice, and it's been amazing. Like, I think it's helped with pretty much everything that I could have hoped for from it. It helps me just connect to my body. It helps me be present more often, which allows me to enjoy life in a greater, more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I can't recommend Kundalini yoga enough.
Yeah.
And I'm a baby. I have so much more to learn, I'm
Yeah.
nowhere near expert status. If James is saying he's not an expert, then
I
I'm
don't
never going to be an expert. So
know. You might know more by the time you're as far in as me. You'll know more because you're just more of a I think rigid, more structured, disciplined learner than I am. I'm just patient. I'm like, by the time I am dead, I hope to have reached enlightenment. If I'm still like just a half wise idiot for a few more years, I'm cool with that. I've had moments of pure clarity, and just like immersion with with the universe, and I've had experiences of being in the presence of God or something powerful like that. Um, and it's, the practice has gotten me there. But it's also myself, like my actual intentions and why I'm doing Kundalini yoga is just as important. I don't want to take away from the practice, but also don't want to, you know, you know, give the practice the all the credit, because there's many practices. I have a lot of practices in my life, like shamanic practices, and so it's a lot about the mind, it's a lot about the mindset and the intention,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah,
and belief too. Like I believe I'm going to like die happy, so therefore I will. I believe that I'm going to be enlightened in this lifetime. Therefore I will. Therefore I will. Maybe I'm still working on that belief a little bit, but like that's the intention. I got to turn that intention into a belief.
yeah.
But
I
the practices, the Kundalini yoga is a good practice to get you going.
Yeah, it really opens you up. If you haven't been in the world, these esoteric types of things, or you haven't been, into any of meditation or yoga before, I feel like it's a good place to. I don't know if it's a good place to start, but it's a good place to get to as your regular practice, I think.
I
And
think, especially for people like us, it's a great place to start. People with
Mhm.
overactive minds.
Mhm.
Like anybody with an imbalanced masculine and feminine within their body is going to benefit from Kundalini.
Mm.
And only, people are only going to do it if they're meant to do it. It's not for everybody, because some people aren't. Some people are too far entrenched in their own ways to be able to do a practice that really rattles you and gets you to change in a rapid way.
Yeah.
The Kundalini does.
As an
Most people don't do it.
example, as an example of that, I had an experience the other day where I ended up like bawling my eyes out, crying by myself, just doing
Yeah,
Kundalini. At the end of it, I was just like out loud wailing,
that's
crying like
beautiful.
I've never done, like I
Mm.
haven't done since I was a child. It was
Ah,
good. I needed it, and it's something that I feel that most men probably uh, turn that off or push down their emotions a lot, and I think I'm just at the very, very, very beginning of starting to open up in that sense. So it's been
yeah,
incredible what it's done for me.
yeah, that's powerful. Busting through an emotional block like that. Um, I did that recently, a few weeks back, like around Easter. I had some really powerful meditations that got me there. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it was.
that may have been, that's funny, that may have been like right around the time that happened to me too. Wouldn't it be crazy if we were both just crying in our own worlds?
Maybe, maybe it could have been. You never know.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember exactly when they were, but I know. Like, I think we had talked. We had talked on Zoom around that time.
Mhm.
Uh, we were sharing some of these experiences before. Um, but yeah, it was actually during it was like a few days into the heroic heart meditation that I'm doing. Because that's a powerful practice, like you're taking on, we're sitting in meditation and we're breathing, we're doing the Kundalini exercises for probably about, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes, really to like open up and expand the heart and the awareness and the energy flowing in the body, and then sit still in meditation and imagine like loved ones and bring suffering into the equation, and then imagine the world and imagine all the suffering in the world, and then sitting with like the suffering people of the world and taking their suffering on, and like into your own being, and transmuting it into like into nothing, like you're just like taking their suffering and bringing it in and letting it vanish. But you have to like feel their suffering, you have to be compassionate in order to for the practice to be really effective. So it's been like, there's been a couple that were like, especially in the beginning, it was just a lot, like the first couple of times I did it, I did cry. The first time, or not the first time, but the second time I did it, I was just like blown wide open. A lot of emotion came out.
That's amazing. That sounds good. I want to check that out.
Yeah, you should. You're on the Life Force Academy, right?
Yeah.
Using that. So yeah, it's the if you just go to like the menu and go to the 40-day challenge, that's the one.
Nice.
There's some videos that teach you how to do the meditation, and there's some videos that walk you through it. It's pretty good.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into it.
And then there's always like there's live broadcasts that go with the 40-day challenges. So you do it, you do the recorded videos on your own, but then there's live classes throughout, like once a week.
Yeah.
So you're doing it live with like when other people around the world are doing it, which is cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. They're doing amazing like work over there.
Oh yeah, a lot of content too.
Yeah, lifeforceacademy.com, right?
I think teachings.jaidevsingh.com. But if you go to Google and you just if you Google Life Force Academy,
yeah,
that's how I would direct people there without knowing for sure what the link is.
Yeah, and that's for Kundalini yoga and all types of meditations and really.
And he also has like a lot of Ayurvedic teachings on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's pretty much that at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's super powerful. A lot of content. Mm-hmm. Yeah, super powerful. Really gives you the practices that you need. To start Kundalini yoga anyway. That's as much as I know about it so far, but it's good. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. There's a ton of content, and it's it's good practice. It's just good practice.
Mm-hmm.
Elevate your being with it.
Absolutely.
I feel like we're probably winding down.
Yeah, it seems that way. Huh?
I got a wave of that feeling. Like, okay, here we go. See ya. Bye.
Hey, free thinker. This human life is more amazing than we give credit for. The pain, the fun, the creativity, the mistakes, and the connected, shared experiences. We are here to expand. Let's do it together.